Hello and welcome to GFW Acquires, where I'm going to be showing you the journey of buying, selling, and acquiring small businesses and leveraging private equity in order to do that, as well as syndication. So, today's video, I just wanted to make a simple introduction into the world of ETA, aka Entrepreneurship Through Acquisitions, which is essentially buying small business to become an entrepreneur. And so, what we're going to learn today is who are people that are eligible, or what type of people should be looking into this. You're also going to learn some of the history behind this process. You'll also learn how to facilitate certain deals, and you can also learn today how me and my team can help you get started in your process and your journey as well. So, without further ado, let's get right into the video. So, buying small businesses, an introduction. First thing I want you guys to recognize is how I have stopped chasing trends, start owning assets. Right now, we live in a fast-paced society, and that's going to continue to be the case. But the one downside I feel that's huge is a lot of times people are bouncing between so many different opportunities and different things they might want to do, which I think is going to hinder the opportunity for growth and leveraging for future ventures. When you're able to focus in on ownership and you give yourself the time and space, you can actually build real, true wealth. And I'm not just talking about like $5 million. I'm talking generational. I'm talking buy a company, hold on to it for the next 10, 15 years, resell it, and cash out $50, $100 million for you and your family for the rest of your life. So, first and foremost, who should be paying attention? Well, this is for 4 types of people, which is really anybody. It's going to be for aspiring entrepreneurs. You might be someone who wants to skip the startup phase. You might be someone who's started a bunch of different businesses, a bunch of different ventures, and you've acquired a bunch of skills, but now it's time for you to take everything to the next level, right? It's time for you to say, hey, I'm a really good operator. I'm a really good foundational person. I'm a really good back-end technical person. I'm a really good salesperson. I don't have the time or the energy or don't want to waste my wheels for the next 5, 10 years starting something new again, when I can jump in and just apply my skills and find everybody else. So you might be an aspiring entrepreneur. Corporate professionals, which is my favorite. So a little background about me. I went to a high school that was math and science. It was an academy, right? So it was a bunch of essentially just nerds, you know what I mean? So I'm friends with a lot of doctors, engineers, even some entrepreneurs as well. Tech CEOs, all those type of things, right? Fintech startups, a lot of different people, Y Combinators. And that bred an environment where I learned firsthand what corporate professionals look like and what they experience. And as I've gotten older and gotten to witness the journey of some of my friends and people that are in these different industries, I've learned that a lot of times they reach a point where they get capped, right? You can only grow but so much in the corporate field. And ultimately, everybody wants more autonomy over their life, right? You might be someone who enjoys vacations. You might be someone who enjoys enjoying time with your friends on the weekend. You don't mind doing work, but you only want to do what you like to do when it comes to the work aspect. This is an opportunity for you to set that up for yourself. And if you're a corporate professional, you're able to easily transition from building someone else's dream to building your dream. And you're able to leverage that expertise that you've acquired during that time at your position. Next, we have coaches and consultants. So this is for anybody that may, for instance, have an online training program. Right? You might be someone that's teaching people how to start their own lawn care service companies or build their own real estate portfolios. This is a great opportunity for you to get firsthand. You can even skip the line in a certain sense, but also for you helping guide your clients through the process of possibly acquiring to complement whatever business that you're already teaching. So you might run a lawn care service already, but now you want to expand it to tree removal. This can be something that helps you do that and opens up the nest and cast your web for the type of clients and students that you may be coaching now. Lastly, strategic investors. So this might be for someone who's been working, did their corporate thing, might be retired, might be in their 50s or 60s, right? And they don't necessarily want to run a business, but they want to put their money somewhere where they can get a return without doing too much. Well, luckily for you, being a partner on acquisitions gives you the opportunity to invest in a project without necessarily being an operator and being more so a silent partner or even a limited partner. And you're able to then capitalize on the same type of growth you can gather here, but move it to something else. Now I'll speed this along a little bit more for you guys that might not have too much time on your hands. Next, so entrepreneurship through acquisition. So I mentioned this earlier. A lot of people aren't familiar with this term. It's a more of a like the last decade or so terminology. Oftentimes, it's actually programs that are actually taught at some of the bigger schools like a Yale or Columbia or even Harvard. I think has it, but I know for a fact that either Cornell or Columbia have an ETA program at their school. I'm not sure if it's specific to alumni or what the process looks like, but this is something that's actually being taught. And if you didn't know that already, you're already behind. But it's okay because you can take advantage of the world that we live in now, learn and earn, become an entrepreneurship by acquiring a business and not spinning your wheels for years. Because I found that a lot of people go through one or two pathways, right? When you're starting up, you have usually an empty bank account. You have no proof that you can deliver on that business or whatever idea. You have no existing customer base. You don't have years of profitability to show for it. And there's a high failure rate, plain and simple. However, when you buy an already existing company, you're walking in day one with cash flow, a company that might already be making $600,000 a year in profit. That means you're already making, $50,000 a month off rip. You have an established customer base, and now you can offer new services too. You can help them develop into a different pathway with what you have. You have a proven business model. Oftentimes, I don't recommend anybody buy any company less than 10 years old, but oftentimes you have companies with 10 plus years of experience. They've gone through COVID. Some companies might be 20, 30 years old that have gone through the '08 financial crisis. You got companies that might be 30 years old that have gone through the dot-com boom. You have companies that might even be 50 years old that have experienced the '80s and Wall Street and survived all this. Meaning what? Meaning that you have a company that can handle anything it goes against. Any sort of downturn in the economy is not going to affect this business because it's proven itself over the years. You're able to adapt and leverage that. Furthermore, you have existing teams and systems. And like I said, you have day one profitability. You don't have to go and look at, set up a whiteboard and say, how am I going to make money today? I have $0. Okay. You skip all that. Also, I wanted to mention too, 90% of startups fail. And you don't want to be that. And only 30% of acquired businesses fail in the first 5 years. So worst case scenario, you buy a company, it doesn't go according to plan over the next 5 years. Only less than a third of the people that do that fail. While 90%, that's 9 times out of 10. 9 out of 10 doctors, okay, dentists would say you're going to fail. And that's not to say, hey, you suck. That just means it's a grind up to get there. So a little history behind this. So Wall Street to Main Street. So if you're not familiar with that terminology, Wall Street is obviously stock market, things like that. Main Street is the everyday average Joe like you and I who can invest and owns these companies or mom and pop shops and your cousin Joe who owns the corner store down the road, whatever it is. That's Main Street. That's everyday people, right? And so this concept was originally created, private equity more so specifically, in the 90s. In the 60s and the 70s. This is one of the first major buyouts with KKR when they acquired Beatrice Foods. So if you guys don't know about that, there's a lot of books. There's one book I have that broke this down. I forgot it's called. I'll put it on the screen or I'll link it somewhere. That broke down the acquisition of this first one, which opened the doors to this industry. And we enter the 80s. Now we got Wall Street booming. Now we have LBO, which stands for leveraged buyouts. And some deals were huge, like $25 billion. So think 40 to 50 years ago, there are people buying companies for $25 billion. That's already a lot in today's time. But with inflation accounted for, that's probably closer to like $30 billion now, right? Furthermore, 2000s. This is when search funds, so private equity groups, individual acquisition startups, because we had the venture capital after the dot-com boom, start to roll in. And once that happened, it opened up room for people to say, hey, maybe there's an avenue for me to become entrepreneurship by possibly buying a company or kind of seeing what this could become. Fast forward another 20 plus years later into today's time, we've got it's still early in its infancy, but we're now in a time period where a lot of the companies that were started in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and early 2000s are now going up for sale because of the silver tsunami. Meaning this is where all the people in the Generation X, average age of a business owner, I believe, is 67 in America. They're all ready to move on to the next journey. And what makes it easier for us today is the fact that there's lots of seller financing, SBA loans. There's even different types of creative structures, and people are more open-minded to it for today's time. You no longer need Wall Street money to buy cash flowing companies, plain and simple. So like I mentioned before, there is a $10 trillion transfer of wealth happening right now. So baby boomers and Generation X. So baby boomers, as you can see here, make up 51% of that total market of these transition. Then you have Generation X, which is going to be a little bit younger, but this is like if you're in your 20s, maybe in your 30s, these are going to probably be your parents' age. If you're like in your teens, possibly this is going to be probably your grandparents. And everybody knows what a baby boomer is, okay? 60s, 70s, 80s plus. These are going to be those people. Like I mentioned, there is a silver tsunami company where 70% of the baby boomer companies will be for sale. They're going to be retiring, okay? That's just life, which means the younger people who have more energy and have more tact and just are ready to do that stage of their life have an opportunity. And I believe I see 12 million right here. I believe there's 2.3 million businesses right now that are for sale from this generation. And over the next decade, that number is only going to increase. So learn the skill set now, apply the skill set now, get some acquisitions on your belt, and keep growing. So here's how I stumbled into this. So I started a bunch of different businesses, like probably you watching this video. I've done e-commerce. I've done drop shipping in 2016. I did drop shipping in 2020, and that's when I had good success. And then I also did it with TikTok Shop in 2024, right? And throughout this process, I also learned how to do digital marketing. I've also done a lot of real estate, which I started in 2018, actually. So I've got a long history of trying different business models, getting success, and also started a financial services company. But I realized through all this, it was high stress, and there always came a time where when you wanted to go do something or go get capital, acquire something, it wasn't enough stability in that company for the bank and their lenders to say, yeah, let's just give it to you. And at that time, I was younger, and I was trying to prove myself, so it was a lot harder to get that foot in the door. So once I kind of started to stumble into private equity, I learned this from TJ Millionaire Mentor. He had a video, and someone asked him, if you were starting over again today, what would you do? This is like 3 years ago. He says, I'd buy a business. As soon as I heard that little clip, it changed my life forever. And because of that moment, I've been on this path learning the last 3 years. I've worked with different business brokerages. I've worked with a lot of different people who are in the financial space, lenders, things of that nature, that have kind of helped me build my chops up. And I'll explain a little bit here about the company I currently operate and how we can help you even get started with this. But furthermore, after I kind of got into that field, I met a mentor through a family friend who had already done acquisitions for the last now 25 years. And he had done deals with banks, industrial service companies, things of that nature. So he happens to be a politician, funny enough. And so I got connected with him and started learning a lot. And once I started to go through that process, I started to realize how accessible this could be for me. So I tried, my first acquisition I tried was in the beginning of 2023. It was a financial services company, a consultant firm that I wanted to acquire and roll into what I was already planning to do, plus what I was already doing at that time. And I'm gonna make a full story time about this video, and I actually have footage. Like, I've recorded everything for like the last 7-8 years of my life, pretty much. So I have footage of this meeting. But effectively, what happened was the guy I was trying to buy the company from fell off the wagon and ended up becoming, what I gathered, an addict again. And so that meant that the deal was it was possibly like this money was going to go to him. He was going to be self-demise, and I didn't want to do that. And the business was fair. It wasn't the most stable, it wasn't the most profitable, but it had a lot of up potential. So we're looking at that. But that was my first failed attempt. And once I went through that, that was my first breakthrough. And so once I did that, I partnered with a different financial services company. We did like a little merger. And from that point forward, I've learned how to just go crazy. And that's why now I'm entering the bigger kahunas of full-on acquisitions, full-on private equity deals, etc. So American Dream is not for sale. This is really simple here. Master the process. So you learn how to do deal sourcing, valuation, due diligence, and closing procedures. And if you stick around on this channel, I'm going to be breaking all these different concepts down in whiteboard, blackboard, explainer style videos, going through every single detail for you so you'll have no questions, no worries, no doubts, and know that you're learning everything that you need in order to do this process. Furthermore, you're going to need to build capital relationships. So you're going to want to connect with lenders, investors, financial partners, meaning like people that are high net, they call it HNWI, which stands for high net worth individuals, maybe even family offices. You'll get around these people, different meetings, things of that nature. Those can be your potential capital relationships. Structure creative financing, so understanding how to use SBA loans, seller financing, earnouts, equity partnerships to maximize your potential with the minimal amount of cash injection from your part. And lastly, you want to learn how to operate and delegate. So when you're buying these companies, you're coming up with your deal box, which is basically what type of company that you're going to buy, what type of acquisition target you have. You're going to need to know if you're going to be operating the management, and whatever you lack, where and who can you hire. There's a book by, I forgot his name, but it's called Who Not How. And it's all about focusing on what you're good at and delegating to the who can solve the problem or fit the box that you need. So moving forward, just a reminder, the American dream is for sale. Boom. So how can my team and I help you? So there's one of three things we do. So right now I mentioned type of business that we've already been running. So what we've been able to do is help students and coaches get access to capital for their programs or for their businesses, right? So in the last, I want to say 18 months, my company's been partnered and facilitated over, I want to say $15 or so million worth of capital to these students and these coaches and their clients, and also small business owners. You can look at my first video on this page has like a PowerPoint breaking down some of the clients we work with. And then even there's another video here with a recent testimonial from earlier this year with a client I work with as well. And we're also in the process of getting him some more capital. So the 60 plus he's gotten should go up to 100,000 plus. And there's a strategy at play with that one. We won't go into too much detail, but that's how me and my team can actually help you today. We can help you understand how to get access to this capital and infuse it into the opportunity to buy a business or fund your business and or for your students that you might have in a program. And so now the second thing we can do is we can offer capital advisory. So say, for instance, you already operate a business, you might want to sell it. Or you are someone who's looking to buy a business. Or you might be someone that already has capital set aside and you want to parlay or get the capital raised in order to close your deal. This is what my team can do here. We help to introduce you to new investors, new investment opportunities, and give you those connections to close the deals. So our advisory services can help you navigate the complexities of the raising the capital, structuring the terms, and closing successfully on your target businesses. And that's what we do here. And lastly, we can also help you with an acquisition. So this is going to be application based. There's going to be a lot of requirements necessary in terms of the amount of capital available, the expectation in terms of a 5 to 7 year cycle, all those kinds of nitty gritty details in order to invest in our fund. So we'll start with some syndications. We'll get into some more deeper funds. And a lot of what we're focused on purchasing is storage facilities or consulting firms. And that is our main deal targets right now. So in the future, there's going to be opportunity for you guys to invest with us in these different deals and bring capital and become partial owners without doing any of the extra work, just applying the capital, filling out the terms, working through our attorneys and our team, and make sure everything is A-OK and earning your income that way. So lastly, I want to leave you with a very simple statement. The best time to buy was yesterday. The second best time is now. If you've been afraid to take that leap or expand what you know, and you're afraid to do something you've never done, you'll never do it in the first place. This is something that's going to take time to learn. So be patient with yourself through that process, but also understand that you might take 6 months to learn this thing or find a deal. You might take 12 months to find a deal. However, you might find a deal that's generating you $1 million plus in profit, and it's been doing that for the last 5 years, and the company's 20 years old, where that 1 year of dedicated effort and information and learning and applying and taking risk and taking calls, trying to do deals is going to generate you way more than you probably would have earned that same year with a business that's far more stable, that gives you opportunity for growth. So that being said, I wanted to kind of just give you guys a simple introduction, break down different aspects to ETA, and give you guys the knowledge, information, and really the introduction, because a lot of what knowledge is just knowing about things. So now that you know about it, it's all in your hands. That being said, I love you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Continue to watch the videos here at GFW Acquires. We're going to get consistent. We're going to be building up a lot of different things. I have plans for the next couple of years of how I want to develop this page. Right now, my main goal for the next 6 to 12 months is just giving you guys as much information, breaking down as many deals as possible, giving you guys all the different terminology and structure types and different ways you can get invested and do it yourself. That being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.